I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. So, it's kind of the day off on the lifeboat. However, we were all over on Marfugal because, let's face it, we all watch Marfugal. So, there was a little bit of miscommunication, and Adam thought that Mark was going live on the boat. So, for that reason, he sent people over to the lifeboat. So the purpose of this is really just to try to make sure that nobody gets confused. If you follow me, let me see if I can pull this thing up. Give me 2 seconds, peeps. This was a little impromptu, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. All right. So let's see. Let's see. We are good to go. All right. The purpose of being here, truthfully, was to just try to steer anybody that was trying to get over to see what's going on with my bobbleheaded partner, because he's over there on Marfugal News right now doing stuff. Hey, Lady Crispin, Cooley McCoolison, Lord Kissfree. Oh, we got the crew. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. Mark Wages is going live on Wages World, and I'm not trying to steal anybody from that. I assure you, what I'm trying to do is make sure that nobody accidentally gets steered in the wrong direction. And by that I mean they right before it ended, Marf said, "Well, you know, they're going to be going live over on the lifeboat, and there are a bunch of people that probably came over here and went, hey, what the heck?" So I wanted to make sure that people knew that, you know, we weren't blowing off a live feed. It was really just a little bit of miscommunication, and Mark is live. Yeah, Mark is live over on Wages World right now, and the reason is there's been a decent amount of stuff going on with the sun. I mean, a really decent amount of stuff going on with the sun. Hello, Charlie Murphy, DJ Daddy-O, good to see you. Sharon Chandler, man, we got everybody. We really do. We got a good crew. You know what? We'll hang out a little longer to make sure that if anybody comes meandering over, hello, Jen Miller, if anybody comes meandering over in confusion, then we'll be able to send them over to Marfugal News. And I mean, what the heck? We can always do a little lifeboat, right? Hey, Buddha, good to see you. It's let's face it, since we don't do a whole lot of editing, then it's one of those things that at the drop of a hat we can kind of go live. I'm going to tell you some stuff that we did today. Hey, Squirrel, get in here. I'm going to tell you some stuff that we did today on the members only chat, because there was a little bit of discussion and there's an idea that we bounced off of the officers, and they liked it. I think it's a pretty good idea too. The idea being that, hey, there we go. See, she's a little bit more rowdy this time of night. The idea being that as this grows, and it is growing, as this grows, we get a little bit overwhelmed, right? Not by by doing the shows, but the number of people that reach out and talk to us on a daily basis can get into it can honestly get to a point where you're catching, you know, probably 40 or 50 calls a day. And honestly, there's nothing better than one-on-one. Squirrel does become a maniac this time of night. Lady Fi is right. So this is what we'd rather be doing. We'd rather be talking to everybody one-on-one. And the problem becomes this. We've had some individuals in the past, numerous times. People have either sent an email or rang us up or went to one of the messenger services or whatever and said, I have a gun and I'm thinking about leaving this planet. And we've been pretty fortunate in being able to talk to those individuals and stop that from happening. So it gets a little frightening because, God forbid, I'm on the phone talking with somebody whose window is open. You know what I mean by that, right? The window is open and we're trying to get them to step through there and maybe start the whole process. You okay, Captain? It's late for you to be on. It is, Daniel. It's late for me to be on. The reason I am is because there was some confusion. They were sending some people from a large channel over to our bobbleheaded partner who's killing it over on Wages World right now. So I went live to make sure that if anyone came over here, they didn't think we were blowing it off. And I can always talk to you guys, right? We did a little show earlier where we talked to all of the members. We did a little member-only stuff where it was, you know, a little less entertaining and a lot more nuts and bolts stuff where we asked a lot of questions. One of the things that came up, Mark and I have been talking about, and I think it makes a lot of sense, is that everybody needs to have a 5, right? We've talked about this. We've talked about this 2,000 times, haven't we? If you start feeling squirrely in your own skin, if you start feeling like you might use, bottom line, this is the answer. If you feel weird in any way, if you're feeling anything but perfect, right? Talk to somebody. It doesn't matter what's going on inside the brain, right? No matter what it is you're going through, it's living, and I mean living, in the emotional part of your brain. It's parked there. And the emotional part of your brain, which is a reflex part of your brain, can drive you insane. Literally, can drive you insane. And it can make you sit and fantasize and romanticize and think about doing something wrong. It doesn't matter what you're thinking of doing wrong, right? Going out and crushing 2 pizzas, right? Going out and getting a 5th of bourbon and knocking it off, or drugs, or or booze, or anything that used to be your substance of choice. Absolutely, completely legit. You got to reach out to somebody. And I made a joke on the feed that, you know, there's never going to be a day and age where you can't get a hold of one of your 5, right? But I started asking people when I talk to them, do you have your 5? And so many people say, no, you know, I really don't. That I just don't have 5 people that I feel like I can reach out to. Most of the people that would take the call are going to be super judgmental. Most of the people that are going to take the call just simply won't help me, right? So I'm kind of stuck, and I feel weird asking people on the lifeboat. You know, maybe I don't know them long enough or well enough. So you get all of these people that, you know, feel a little bit uncomfortable. So the idea is this. We're going to put up a place where anybody hurting, or anybody that's got a window that opened, anybody that for that brief period of time is ready to lay down their pride, right? Lay down all of the barriers that addicts build around themselves and talk to somebody. There's going to be a place where they can show up, picture like a Facebook group page kind of a thing. Now, obviously, we don't want somebody sharing their entire life in a Facebook group that people can go back and read and do all of that. But the idea is they would ring, right? Pop in and go, hey man, I need help. And instantly, one of about 3 to 5 people who were online, thank you, Daniel, I appreciate that, you know. Jem Miller says, truthfully, I only have 1. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about. If you only have 1, you got a shot of not being able to get a hold of that person. So you go there and you type in, hey, I'm hurting. And one of about 5 people who are going to be manning the phones, right, during that period of time, one of the 5 people, like first one to you basically, will pop on and say, how would you like to do this? You can give me your phone number, we can text if that makes you more comfortable. If you would like to talk one-on-one, we can do that off this platform. Like you can meet me over on my Facebook Messenger account, or we can go over to any of the other platforms, right? I don't care what form of communication you want to use, but we get them somewhere where they can feel like there's some anonymity. It's not going to be, hey, the next person that comes in can read everything you're going through. That's the last thing we want. And we're ironing out the details and that kind of stuff, open to any kind of suggestions, you know, for the name of this, for anybody that feels like they would like to man a shift. If you decide that you're willing to take on the responsibility, you do not have to. I don't have 5, but for part of, let me see here. Sorry about that. He said, I don't have 5, but for part of that, I count you, the lifeboat, and Johnny, and seriously do. You know what? You should. Seriously. Absolutely. And I've really kind of made it very clear that if you're not right and you can't get a hold of the five, reach out to me, right? I'm not going to turn somebody away. The fear isn't that, I'm going to turn somebody away. The fear is that while I'm talking to somebody who very badly needs to be talked to, I don't think there's anything that's trivial. But I'm talking to someone who says, man, I feel like using, and, I'm asking them all the right questions, right? You really want to do this? Think about how far you've come, right? Is this a good decision? Is this going to get you where you want to go in life? Just questions, right? You don't have to know any answers. All you have to have is answers. Questions rather. And if you've got it stocked up with people, God forbid I'm on the phone talking to someone like that and someone with a gun in their hand can't get a hold of me, because that does happen. It would be frightening, I think, for all of you if you knew how many times somebody calls up and says, I'm thinking of punching my ticket. I'm thinking of ending this. So we're trying to make sure that kind of thing, quite simply, can't happen. Jen Miller says, I seriously have found that peace and strength here. What a cool thing to say, right? What an absolutely cool thing to say. And I think the reason for that, people, is pretty obvious, right? Nobody here judges anybody. And the reason that we don't is because nobody here has got a leg to stand on to judge somebody, right? So I spend more time in front of the camera than Mark does. Mark spends way more time behind the scenes doing what he does. And we had an opportunity today to, on the members only, to kind of break down that. We're in sort of a one-on-one, a little smaller situation, but with only I don't know how many are here right now, 15, 20, something like that. In a smaller group right now, I'll break it down for you. We got a 3-man team here, right? There's really a 3-man team on the lifeboat. There's myself, and there's Mark, and there's Linda, right? So, and we all know Linda is Lady Fiona Crispin, and she is taking on the responsibility of making sure that the lifeboat. You know what, Lady Crispin, you really don't. If you had been ready today because you have the ability to office, you could have just walked through the front door. But there's a lot of people today that said, I want to gift a membership, but I want to gift a membership specifically to somebody. You have an Apple. May I suggest you go and look up Facebook. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Look up YouTube, but do it through Google, right? Because what's going to happen is, and this is our best guess as of right now, we're going to find out if this works, but you're going to be leaving the iOS platform and you're going to be approaching this through Google or through Firefox or through any of the other platforms, and they're not blocked, right? So you're using an iPhone, but the way you're accessing the big red button is through something other than iOS, right? Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? Okay. That's me glomming information off of Lady Crispin and off of my bobble-headed partner. I don't know what I'm talking about. I really don't. But I'm a good parrot, right? I can always spit back things that I've learned. So if you try to get there and try to do it through a server, as opposed to just going straight at that, through the iOS symptom, I think you're probably going to do a little better. That's going to work out. We're going to get it figured out, people. The good news is it is not the lifeboat. It's not Mark Wages. It is not Lady Crispin. And, well, it's not me because I don't have anything to do with anything. Get in here. Squirrel's really in a bad mood. You ask her to come in and work twice in one day and you tried DuckDuckGo? No luck on DuckDuckGo? Try Google. And the only reason I say that, I'm not a big fan of Google, but they do own the big red button. You follow me? The big red button, right, that we all come and listen to the lifeboat on. It's where we put the boat, right? We put the boat on the big red button, and the big red button is owned by Google. So I think it's probably, and I'm not a fan of them either, people. It's not my favorite engine to go to, I promise. But I think it's probably the one that's got the best chance of getting through. By the way, am I locked up? Somebody give me a 5x5. I don't have anything set up, people. I did this on the fly because I didn't want it to look like, nope, okay, we're good. Do you see Squirrel? Do you see her? Tearing up. There are watches over there. She could be knocking them on the floor. Squirrel, come here. Come on. Good girl. Come here. Or just run out of the room. That'll work too. Sorry, people. Yeah, so the we're gonna do a lot of things in the very near future that is going to take this into a kind of a different stratosphere and get 3,000. I'll be really honest with you. We never thought we were going to get 3,000 people. This is not entertainment, right? We're not cat videos. We're not torturing ourselves, right? We're not playing video games. We're not doing any of the things that tend to bring in a ton of subscribers. And the subject matter, requires somebody to say, my Persephone is like that too. Oh, you got a cat like that, man? Do you know what's funny? One of my best friends growing up had a cat with the same name. Isn't that funny? So yeah, we're in a situation now, people, where no matter how big this thing gets, as I said, we didn't think it was going to hit 3,500. We didn't think there was a chance in hell of that. Not a chance in hell. But because of the fact that we've grown that large, we have to put some stuff in place to ensure that we're not going to drop the ball on making sure that everybody is taken care of, right? Because that's a possibility. It's a legit possibility, and it's not something that we want to do. So we're going to be putting some things into place to ensure that doesn't happen. That being said, one of the risks that comes with that is that we don't want any of you people to start feeling like you lose the family aspect of this. And Mark and I talked about this a lot. And I think one of the beautiful things about the boat is, I said this earlier, there were so many days or so many months where we were all ready to bail. Where Mark and I were just absolutely in pain, right? Knowing that nothing really good was going on. We went through a lot of growing pains and a lot of crap, and we had people just targeting us and going after us, and it was painful, and a lot of bad stuff was said about people and people in the group, and the core showed up here every single day, knowing that trolls were calling them filthy names and sending them bad photos and doing all that stuff. They showed up every single day, and that's the names. If I start ripping them off, I could name a quick 10, but I'd miss 2 or 3 in it, and I'm not going to bum anybody out by missing them. But just people that really have been here the whole time and really haven't missed more than a handful of shows. People that have been here since the beginning. If we get 20,000 people, right? If we're doing 3,000 on a live feed, there's going to be about 50 names we're never going to forget. Because having that first year and a half gave us an opportunity to really build relationships with people in a way that I think doesn't happen as often on channels. And I know everybody says that. Everybody says that's such a cliche. Well, we don't have subscribers. We've got family members. Well, that sounds really good, right? I refuse to join a support group, and due to and I don't have any other way to read it. Sorry, my computer is not with me. Squirrel, please knock that off. She's serenading me from the other room, right? But yeah, we don't. When we say that you people are more like family than like subscribers, right? It's just such a cliche. It's a cliche that every single channel, no matter what they do, every channel says that. But you know what? You know why you feel like that here? It's not just the subject matter. People come in here and say, you know what? I feel like getting high. And I think the thing from my past that's really haunting me is that, I was abused as a child, and, or any of this type of, I lost my significant other in a car wreck a couple of years ago, or I watched my partner overdose. Like the things that people come here and share. Are we still hanging out after the stream tonight, Tommy? You know what? I'm going to be here for a minute. Come here. Come on. I know. Get in your basket. Good girl. So, we really do kind of tackle a subject matter, and open up for some very serious conversations that leaves people, bonding in a way that I don't think happens on a lot of other channels, and it makes one another, all of us really start to bond. There are people on this channel that I love. I mean, absolutely love. And I can truthfully say I love all of you, but there are some people on this boat that have become family, and I'm sure over time that list of family is going to grow. But we want you to know that the changes that are going to be happening going forward, none of them are going to affect any of you. I promise you that. I'm really going to use the bathroom while I'm doing the live feed. Squirrel, that's just rude. This is what happens when you work your cat twice in one day. There are going to be some changes. It's not going to bum out any of the core. I promise you, it's not, because we're not going to do anything that is going to detract from what we have always done on the boat. The changes are going to be add-ons that we are going to do to try to make this better. Right? Like if you have been going and stopping by the Lifeboat page for the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks, you saw a radical change, right, to what we do, a radical change to exactly what happened to the layout of that channel. And that was the third wheel, right? That was the secretary, Linda, who really, when May Nature calls, you got to answer it, even if you're a cat. So when Lady Crispin went in there and redid it, it looks fantastic. It really does. And you know what? It took a lot off of Mark's shoulders. And when you take that off of Mark's shoulders, Mark does other things. And if things are off my shoulders, I do other things. So it really is getting to the point where we're learning and we're coming up with some ideas and some things that are going to allow us to listen. Oh, been subscribed for a while. Nice. Appreciate you. It's going to allow us to do some things that are going to make it so that if somebody's hurting, there's never going to be a time where you just can't ring up somebody. And the beautiful thing is we got people all over the planet. We really do. I mean, we're in 32 countries or something like that now. So a lot of the people that have been here from the very beginning will be volunteering from the other side of the pond. Obviously, we got a pretty big following in Australia. So it breaks up time zones so that, there are people who don't have to stay up in the middle of the night. I get a lot of people that ring me up at 4 a.m. I do. And, this is what we signed up for. I'm not lamenting it in any way, shape, or form. I'm not. I wish, and I've told Fiona this, I've told Mark this, I wish that I could shut down everything else I do in life and talk to one person after another. I wish that I could do it for 12 to 13 hours a day, right? Take one shift and do it for 13 hours a day, because it's the most rewarding thing that we do. When someone calls you and they're talking about taking their life, or someone calls you and they say, you know what, there's no way I'm going to get through today without getting high. And before the call is over, they're saying, I can make it a day. Don't do that. My goodness, you are on one. So that would be the best case scenario. We'd love to be able to do that, but it's not possible. So something has to be put in place. And there's a lot of you that have been here long enough that you've basically heard everything we've ever talked about. And you really do not need, you don't need a rotation. So so we don't burn out. There's really something to that. There is something to that. And we talked about this on the members only today. You know what burns us out? Honestly, it's not going to be the obvious things that you think, right? It's not talking to a lot of people. That does not burn us out. I promise you it doesn't. And that may sound silly, but it does not burn you out. What burns you out in this game is when you don't get to a call. If you've been here long enough, everybody's heard the Cindy story 100 times, right? But Cindy was an email we didn't get to in time, right? And she's no longer with us. And that kind of crap, can drive you insane. And since we started this, I don't know exactly what the number is anymore, but it's north of a dozen, people that we've lost. And statistically, it's going to get worse. And the reason it's going to get worse is because, and we're not trying to do a doom and gloom show today, people. I'm telling you, I'm trying to keep upbeat. I really am. I'm happy as hell today. We're not doing that. But the new test results just came out. And the most recent batch of stuff tested is like 9% stronger than what they've been putting on the street. Which is great because that stuff they were putting on the street was just garbage, right? Nobody was getting high on that. So they needed to put something with a little more punch in it. So this is just getting worse. And, all of you send me videos, and I appreciate the hell out of that, especially if you send them to any of the emails. I was the assistant director of nursing at the largest psychiatric facility. Wow, that is, that's stuff that, and we were saying this earlier, if you've got something that you can bring to the party, that's huge, right? Drop me an email at sober, S-O-B-E-R, at myyahoo.com. Sober at myyahoo.com. And I would love to talk and have the opportunity to use everybody's talents, because there's a crap load of talent here. Once we put together the concept and we have the crew, there's going to be some trainings. The good thing is this: you do not have to be clinically trained, right? You do not have to be. I'm telling you, people, this is what I do, and I do it all day long, right? In order to be successful, you do not have to have any of the answers. People aren't looking for answers, right? What happens is this: the part of your brain that is absolutely messing you up is the emotional part of your brain. It's the reactive part of your brain. That's the part that is saying, go get high, go get high, go get high, go get high, right? Take yourself off the planet. Take yourself off the planet. It's not logic. You think logic grabs the front door of a bank and goes, I'm just going to go in here and rob it. Okay, there's no logic in that. That is the emotion. I got to get high. I don't care what I got to do it. And, that emotion drives you. And when that emotion is kicking, when your emotion is in high gear, then you're in deep trouble because what you're not going to have is your frontal lobe doing you any real good, right? So it's a dangerous time when your emotions are ruling. So one of the reasons that we bust chops, one of the reasons that we talk about, journaling, right? Making a big deal, calling the five, right? The reason that all of these things are so damn important is because what you're doing is you're going from that part of your brain to the frontal lobe. You're not going to have a conversation with somebody where your emotions are doing the talking. Don't get me wrong. You can get very, very angry and go into a conversation with emotions tearing you up, but you require communication skills in order to get your point across, even if you're screaming, and a decent amount of that. I am addicted to heroin. You know what, my friend? I did 30 years addicted to heroin. Reach out to me at sober, S-O-B-E-R, at myyahoo.com. S-O-B-E-R at myyahoo.com. We work with everybody. It doesn't matter what you're addicted to, but I'll tell you something. If you're addicted to heroin, right? I personally got out of that forest, right? So I'm the one who personally walks back in to lead people out. And we're kicking ass on heroin. We're kicking ass on fent. We really are. Like, that's right now, we're probably more successful with people who are on opiates than anything else. Probably because both my partner and I really have a handle on that. I spent 30 years addicted, and Mark was about a dozen. So between the two of us, we had 42 years being slaves to that stuff. The good news is, and I swear to you, this is the truth. I know that people don't believe this, and it's why we continue to use, right? But I'm telling you right now, Gary, I can get you clean, and you don't have to hurt. You can get clean without withdrawal. And I know that sounds so foreign, because when people told me that, I was like, whatever, because you spent 15, 20 years of your life trying to quit every single day, and all you do is get sick. Thank you, man. Thank you, for coming here and for opening up and saying, man, I'm addicted. That's the biggest step. No lie. That's huge. And it is once that happens, healing starts, right? But if we get anything across, right? If we can get anything to communicate from us to you, the biggest takeaway with everything that we do is, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you talk about it. You talk about it. I went and had a conversation at lunch today with an elderly guy, and I'm old, right? So this cat's elderly, but he spent a lot of years of his life. Hey, Mark Wages. Mark, if you want to pop in, I will happily throw on some headphones, but I know you just finished working. So if you want to just bail, you can absolutely do that too. But I had a lunch with a guy today, and he's got about 17 years sober, but he started to break down what he remembers from addiction. And it was really kind of wild because we were addicted to two wildly different substances in two wildly different time periods, right? I mean, this was a guy who was doing what he was doing in the 50s, right? So, you think it's a different world, and you get this vision in your head that, well, the world we live in is nothing like the one from the 50s, and the world that these kids are growing up in is nothing like us. And you know what? None of it is, except addiction. It's exactly the same. And he said, the points he made, he goes, I knew I had a problem, but I couldn't tell anybody. I was so ashamed. I couldn't do, family. I couldn't do anything. There was nobody that I felt comfortable just going to. And the beauty of the boat is somebody just came here right now and said, hey man, I'm addicted to heroin. And none of you can tell me where he lives, right? None of you can tell me what he does. You can't give me a description of him, right? The only people you guys could describe would be me and my bobbleheaded partner. And you know what? We're cool with that. Just got out. I assume you mean a prison, or I did a lot of time. So that's you'll be in good company, right? There's if you're addicted to heroin, then chances are you did a little time. That's fairly normal. Or if you mean you just got out of the hospital, okay. If you just got out of the hospital, so you're right on the precipice of probably going back. You absolutely need to have a plan, right? And I mean a quick one. You better put a plan together, and you better put it together fast. What I will promise you is, if you go to sober@myyahoo.com, I'm going to reach out to you as fast as you reach out to me, right? That's the stuff we call windows. Right? If a window is open, every other person that needs to talk to you kind of has to take a back seat. You understand what I'm saying? Because the window opening is the shot at actually saving somebody. So those windows open and then they close. And if you're not there when it opens, then those are the things you regret. Those are the things that kill you, right? Those are the things that literally make you insane. I need sleep, guys. I would imagine you do. My bobbleheaded partner is on the East Coast, right? So I'm working late. He's working really late. Squirrel, you are literally driving me nuts. I'm telling you. This is the problem with talent and trying to work them twice in one day, right? I pay the cat. I take very good care of the cat. I let her sleep in my bed. But if you got to do 2 shows in one day, she just is not into it. I'm in the UK. You know what? That's not a problem at all on multiple levels because, number one, the time zone difference will work around that. I've talked with many, many people in the UK. The other thing is that there are crew members in the UK, right? So once we get a plan down and we get a routine for you, there are going to be some people there that you could reach out to. That's what I mean by, I'll share out the stream real quick. Please, Wages, since we're already here, that would be great. I'll do another 30 minutes, right? Why not? We're already here. But yeah, my friend, when I say you got to have a game plan, when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel any kind of discomfort, and the other day somebody in the comment section put up HALT, right? If you've never heard HALT, it's in 12-step programs, you hear it all the time. It's an acronym: hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I like to throw in guilty, right? You can call it whatever you want. G-HALT, right? HALT G, whatever you want to call it. But guilt is the other one. If you're feeling hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or guilty, those are the things that are going to drive you back. And you don't always feel that emotion. It's not always logical. You just don't feel comfortable. You feel so uncomfortable in your own skin that there's something's wrong, and you can't put a figure on it, but you just don't feel comfortable. And when that happens, you reach out to somebody that's been there and done that, right? They're not going to judge you, number one. And number two, you don't have to explain the unexplainable, right? When you say, you know what, I just got out of the hospital, right? I was so sick, it almost killed me. They really fought to help me get sober, and all I want to do is go back and use again, right? To normal people, that is not something that can be explained, right? It's bizarre. It's downright bizarre, right? But you come to the lifeboat and you say that, and everybody here goes like this. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Like you don't have to waste another second. You're using, okay. You know what? Honestly, not a problem. Really not a problem. Now all we got to do is get you to stop using, and to get you to stop using without pain. So if you just left the hospital, I'm guessing you were in there for maybe abscesses or something like that. You weren't in the hospital to detox, because chances are you wouldn't be using as immediately after. already after 6 weeks in the hospital, nearly lost my leg. Right, so you're in there for an abscess. I got you. And you know what? Been there, done that. This camera doesn't do any justice. But if you could see what my arms look like, right? I mean, brother, trust me when I tell you, you're not going to tell me anything that's going to freak me out. You feel me? You're not going to tell me anything that, you got, you're lucky it didn't go septicemia, right? Then you really do, lose the leg. Once you go septic, it's really bad. It gets into the blood. I've told the story here on the lifeboat before. There was a guy that I had to literally force into a hospital. And by the time I did, I had said to him, you need to go today, man. You're going to die. Like, this is really, really bad. You know what, Gary? We got so much to talk about, brother. Reach out to me. My Yahoo, it's sober at myyahoo.com. Please reach out to me because I promise you, we've got a lot to talk about. And there's not going to be too much that you're going to bring up that I don't have a handle on. And I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm just saying been there, right? To all that. So, and I helped this guy get up there, and he had, by the time we got him in, he had an abscess on his heart. He had an abscess on his lungs. He spent 6 months in that hospital. 6 months. And it's amazing that the second he got to the point where, he was no longer, they had him in a hyperbaric chamber because the skin was rotting. So they were trying to keep nitrogen instead of oxygen because the nitrogen keeps that, the oxygen keeps the skin just sort of eating away. So not too graphic, but that's what it is. So they put you in a hyperbaric chamber. And for a long time, he's in this little tube and they're controlling everything inside. And once just got rid of the abscesses, they threw him out. Yep. So he was in the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. When he finally got out, like the second he got out, he called me and said, hey, man, can you make a phone call for me? I'm like, you got to be woofing me, dude. What, you want me to send the dope guy over to you now? Like, you just got out of no, I'm not sending a dope man over to you. Come on, man, get your stuff together. Of course, somebody else did, right? Because they could get 2 bags out of it. And the next day I went down to visit him, and he literally was in the parking lot. Those little things you walk around because they got the IV? He was standing in the parking lot waiting for the guy to deliver dope. And I had to go and talk to the doctor because we had lied and said I was a brother because that's the only way you could visit people in the U.S., right? You have to be family. So I had said I was, and the doctor's there saying to me, look, we're going to kick your brother out, right? Same day I'm out, I did a gram. Look, brother, not surprised at all. As crazy as it sounds to the non-user, I'd have been shocked if you didn't, right? I would have been shocked if you didn't. You had a bunch of new crap to stack on top. You already don't feel right? You already don't feel cool in your own skin. You feel like you're defective. You feel like, you're different than everybody else in the world. You're broken. You've got defective character, right? All of the things we tell ourselves, and society piles it on worse, right? So now you're fresh out of the hospital. You got all this other stuff, right? You got some medical stuff to take care of, and you got the stigma of how every single person who came in and looked at you like, great. You're taking up a hospital bed because you're a junkie, right? They're not particularly nice when you're in there and you're doing that. So all of that added stuff, you need to make that go away, right? You need to make that go away. And for people like us, right, one thing makes that go away. I get it. I absolutely get it. You know what's crazy though, man? Crazy. So I had a 7 gram a day habit. And I robbed banks. I went to federal prison. I did dope in federal prison. I got out. I became a gun runner. I got caught for that. I went in, I did dope. And then while I was in there, I finally, it caught. And if, someday you'll hear the whole story. But when it was all said and done, and I got sober, there she is. When it was all said and done and I got sober, I'm more than 7.5 years now off that stuff. And if you can go from where I was to where I am today, I promise you, brother, you're not too far gone. I know that you feel like, especially with opiates, you always feel like you are the genetic overlord. You're different than everybody else, right? You're the one that can't be fixed. You have such a love for this, or you have such an addiction for this. You're just different than everybody else. Every opiate addict feels that way. Every opiate addict feels that way. And the only way you get hope, honestly, is to find somebody that's done it, right? That's been there and that found their way out of that. There's a lot of people on this boat that have found their way out. So you reach out to me, man, and we'll come up with a game plan for you. And I'm telling you, I don't care if you've been using 2 weeks. I don't care if you've been, using 3 months. There is a way to get off of this without having to go through the god-awful withdrawal, right? And all of the fun that comes with that. And trust and believe, I know the fun that goes with that. I did 30 years of it, So, yeah, we were coming on live tonight so that we didn't miss. I feel like I'm drifting without power in the ocean. I hate vodka. You know something? That it's an absolute great illustration, right? You just feel like you're out there. You've got no direction. You've got no anything, right? This is going to sound crazy, and I don't want it to come across this way. But because so many of the people that we talk to end up sober, I kind of love the way that all of these people, how people describe it, right? In a sea without a paddle. It's one I've heard, right? I've heard on a river, in a boat that you can't control and you're just getting taken along. CJ Blaze, friend of mine, lady CJ Blaze. Glad you're here, Miss CJ Blaze. Oh man, I've been calling CJ a guy for so long, I just can't tell you the embarrassment behind that. Really, I hate that. But yeah, adrift, right? You're not grounded in any way, shape, or form, right? That's the nature of the beast. And it doesn't matter whether it's heroin, it doesn't matter whether it's alcohol or cocaine or methamphetamine, all of these things, you understand? All of these things do the exact same thing. This is a concept that's foreign to a lot of people. But what makes you an addict is not the drug. Crazy, right? Technically, heroin doesn't do anything. It does not get you high. It's an inert substance. So what it does is it gets into your body and it goes to an opiate receptor. And it's like turning on a faucet, right? It's got to have a key to turn that faucet on. So an opiate goes on there and it turns it on and it opens it up, right? And it starts to flush out of that dopamine, right? And it can get you so much. Well, yeah, you say it makes you well. No, but what makes you well is the chemicals inside your own body, right? Heroin has no chemical in it that gets you high. What it has is a chemical that makes you release your chemicals. What's getting you high is already in your body. Even if you overdose, it's not the heroin that overdoses you. It's you had so much feel-good chemical in your brain, enough to kill you because of how much dope you did that released that much. But it's your brain chemistry that's getting you high. Stone cold fact. Opiate receptors. They're called the MU receptor, right? So the drug comes in, attaches to the MU receptor, turns the knob. Now all of this stuff starts to flow out into the system and you feel the nod and all of the other stuff, right? That's what happens. So you have this in your brain. And normal people, air quotes, normal people, they get those feelings, right? They don't get them to the nod, but they get them to the point where they feel peace and they feel happy and they feel love. Same drug, right? For real, same drug, right? Or meth just turns it on 500 times more than it needs to be, right? All of these drugs are just a malfunctioning reward center of the brain. The reward center of the brain is supposed to make you do things that are going to keep you alive and keep the species going. The illustration we use all the time is if you're in the hospital and they hand you your newborn baby for the first time, right? And they hand it to you and there's this instant bond, right? The second that you have that baby in your hand, you love this creature in a way that can't be explained. You can't explain it at all, but you'd kill for it. You would die for it. You would do anything in your power to protect it. Why? Because your body released enough chemicals to make sure you were going to do that. Okay, so the heroin addict gets the exact same feeling the first time they do heroin. They get that buzz, and it's like the first time somebody held a child. And you get I got to take care of this. This is how I want to feel for the rest of my life, right? It's a malfunctioning reward center. The cool thing is this. It can be fixed. No shit. No, pardon me. Nope, but no joke. It's late at night, people. I'm sorry. No joke. It can be fixed. You can get that train back on the track. I'm telling you right now, if you don't think I get high on life, babe, I promise you. I could read you a letter that somebody wrote me this morning that is one of the most beautiful things. I sent it to my partner, and the both of us were sobbing, and I mean really good tears. And when that thing was done, right? When that thing was done, I had a buzz that I know is going to last a week. And it's funny, my friend. He just said, you know what? I want to be fixed. You know why the term fix? You know where this came from, right? Because heroin addicts don't get high, right? We fix. Right? That's opiate addicts. They don't get. They don't say I'm going to go get high. Or some will say I got to get well. But for the majority, they say I got to fix. You know why? Because you're broken. You're broken, and you feel like the only thing that is going to fix you is that faucet inside your body getting turned on, right? And that opiate, right? The morphine molecule is going to pass through the blood-brain barrier. It's going to lock itself onto that. It's going to turn it on. You know what? Methamphetamine does the exact same thing. It's not hitting the mu receptor. It's hitting a different receptor, but it's doing the exact same thing. Cocaine, you're not hitting either of those receptors, but doing the exact same thing, right? You get high on the chemicals in your body yourself. Alcohol is unique in that that's not what's going on. The alcohol is actually drugging your brain. For real, right? So that's a unique substance. But street drugs across the board, these are substances that you get high off of stuff you already have in your body. So if you could get, I need you on that question, or it's going to be drive me crazy. Buddha, you know what? Text me. You know my number, bud. If there's a question that you can't get, text it to me, man. My phone is dead, which is why I'm not texting. Commenting right now. I literally came on here just hot as hell because I didn't want all of the people that were coming over from Marf. You know, Marf accidentally said, they're going live on the lifeboat. And my bobbleheaded partner was going live on Wages World. So I thought, I'll go over here and I'll send everybody that way. But it was the normal crew that showed up, and, chances are you guys are going to kick it here. So we just, here we are, we're talking. But I have done so many different drugs, but heroin, yeah. That is so, that's ubiquitous, my brother. Every single heroin addict you talk to will say, I did this, I did that. And it doesn't matter if your drug of choice is heroin or your drug of choice is methamphetamine. Everybody says the exact same thing. It's good to see you too. The reason we say that is, there's a reason you call it the drug of choice, right? You try everything. And it's not that you're experimenting with drugs. Don't get that messed up. You were not experimenting with drugs. See, you're born a drug addict. You really are, whether you believe that or not. What you were doing was searching for the drug that you're addicted to. And that would be a squirrel. Hey, say hi, squirrel. You're really killing me tonight, kitty. There you go. All right, so you were searching for the drug that was going to make you feel okay in your own skin. For some people, that's alcohol. Right? They try a little weed, they do a little this, and then that alcohol hits and they go, oh my God, this is how I've wanted to feel. This is it, how I want to feel for the rest of my life. For some people, that's heroin. For some people, it's cocaine, but it doesn't matter because that's not the drug. It's the fact that when you do the drug, your brain then goes, perfect. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Here, have some chemicals from the reward center of your brain. So not just the dopamine, right? But now that's going to reinforce this behavior. The same way a child would, right? The same way that sex does, right? There's a reason that sex is a hell of a lot of fun, right? Because if it wasn't, what are you doing? Because if it wasn't a hell of a lot of fun, we wouldn't be on the planet anymore. So there had to be a lot of feel-good chemicals attached to it, right? All of these things make sense. It's to keep the race going, and it's to keep us from dying, right? The good things that we do get rewarded, like working, right? It is still blowing up. Oh yeah, I missed that one. Really missed that one. Sorry, you guys. It's going quick, and I'm watching it on a camera. So, but what it really boils down to is it can be reprogrammed. You understand? Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? Honestly, it makes no difference. As crazy as it sounds, it makes no difference. And once you do this long enough, right, you start talking to people who they go to a casino, right, and they got $4,000 in their pocket and they blow it, right? Or they go in and triple it, but they won't leave the table until they give it all back. Why? Because when they're waiting for the next card to come down, that's the dopamine rush. They're getting the dopamine rush as that card's turning over, and it's the same thing. The reward center of the brain is going, this is what you're supposed to be doing for the rest of your life. This is the most important thing in the world. So make no mistake, If you're listening to me for the first time, you do not have a defective character, right? You're not weak. You're not a bad person. You're none of that crap, right? You would not say that to somebody who is diabetic. What? You can't process sugar? You need insulin? Man, you're a loser, right? Weak. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? Well, the reason it sounds stupid is because the whole world has already accepted that that's a disease. But they don't want to accept that addiction is a disease because it feels like it gets us off the hook, right? And they want us to suffer, right? We were stupid enough to get addicted to drugs, in their opinion, so we deserve to suffer. So they're not going to let this disease concept get roots. Unfortunately, those days are over because it's no longer something that can be debated, right? No longer anything that can be debated. I mean, if you really want to, if you want to sit here and go, well, I believe it's not a disease, knock yourself out, right? It's like saying, I believe that's not a cat. There are three things that a disease needs to be in order to be a disease. And the only one that drugs hadn't really clicked was, is there a test that you can test 5 people and say that one's a drug addict, whether they're high or not? And now you absolutely can do that. You can look at a PET scan, see what's going on in the brain, see what what's going on in terms of one area of your brain is not doing what it's supposed to, right? Not firing enough. And another part of your brain is firing way the hell more than it's supposed to, right? And it is documentable. Okay, so no more argument on that, right? You have a disease. But now that you know you have a disease, right? Now it sucks. Because if you know you have a disease, and you understand the stuff behind this, now there's not really an excuse. Especially when you come to realize that, look around, right? There's 3,500 people on this boat. I think might be 36. 3,600 people on this channel, right? We call the lifeboat. And they're all getting sober. They're all putting that substance behind them. They're all in one place or another, right? They're in some form of putting that behind them. And the funny thing is this. I went to 40 doctors. I went to the most expensive rehabs you've ever seen. Can we give for Murph Dog for the loss of his mom? Absolutely. But can we get some ones up in the chat for Murph Dog? I'm sorry, Murph. I really am. And I'm sorry that I don't have my computer because I would have said that a hot minute ago, but I didn't. I wasn't able to read it. That's, I can't imagine. I really can't. You know, I recently lost my dad, and it's one of those things that I don't imagine that, you know, it's just really, really difficult. And if you happen to be somebody that, you know, our coping mechanisms has always been drugs, right? So this is a difficult thing, man. Prayers for him, please. Yeah, please. Please. The disease concept, we're not arguing anymore about it, right? And it doesn't give you don't get a free pass. It's still a disease of choice, right? And when the pass really is over, right, the free pass goes away the hot second you realize it's a disease, right? At that moment, now you really have to, you got to step up to the plate. You got to say, all right, I'm going to draw a line in the sand, and I'm going to stop now. And, you know, to say to anybody here, I just can't do it, right? It's the wrong crowd, man. It's the wrong crowd, right? Because, I mean, I had a 7-gram a day heroin habit. I robbed banks for it. I ran guns for it. I stopped, right? There are people on this boat that were drinking 2/5 a day. We got a guy who used to drink 2 gallons of beer. I'm not kidding you. 2 gallons of beer and a fifth. And then he did benzos and he did painkillers. I'm not even joking, right? And I can tell you who it is because he has said 1,000 times he has no problem with that. Swiss Vape, right? One of the guys on the boat, Swiss Vape, abused his body and mind like nobody. Like when he first started to tell me what he was trying to do, I thought, oh my God, right? How is this even possible, man? It's you really just can't do I'm not capable of this. With all due respect, that's BS. You know, it's BS. You've probably convinced yourself for a really, really, really long time that that's the case, right? Hey, Captain, it's a little late. No question, it's a little late, right? And this is my day off. I ended up doing 2 hours today on my day off. is what it is, right? It is what it is. I really do love everybody. And you know what? People say that all the time. I love every person that's got a drug problem. I may not like all of you, right? There's some people I don't like, but I love every one of you because inside every one of those people is a best version of them trying to get out. You know, and if you knew the absolute dirtbag, you're just smoking a little now. That was the end of my career too. I mean, I never smoked a little, but I had moved from the needle to smoking it. Sad news is, it's a harder addiction to kick. Not, I'm just being straight with you. It's way harder to kick smoking than it is the needle. They call it it's a stomach addiction. You suck the stuff in and it makes your stomach really relax. And when you don't have it, your stomach just sort of like twists you into knots. Set up an email earlier. Actually, nothing big. Oh yeah, no, I responded back to you. So check that email. I actually responded back to you. Maybe I didn't hit send. I think I did. Check it though. From 1 gram to 2 grams, 10 times a day. It's in progress. Yeah, you know what? And you sit down with that tinfoil and you go to town, brother. I truthfully understand it. Enjoy a late night as he has helped so many. You know what, Giesel, I appreciate you, man. I really, really do. I appreciate you. You know what? It was a pretty cool thing to pop on. And where I probably got to meet a few. Is that Ellen Ballantyne? Hey, Ellen, I love you. Very, very cool to get a chance to meet some new people here, and you're going to send me an email, brother, and we're going to talk. We're going to get together. We're going to come up with a game plan, and might be 2 weeks from now, might be 2 months from now. Sometimes it takes 6, 8 months, but someday you're going to write me a letter. It's going to make me cry. It's just how it goes down, man. It really does, and it's my drug of choice these days. So and it's a whole lot cheaper, and you don't have to wait in parking lots for people to deliver it, and you don't get track marks. It's it kicks the hell out of addiction in every way. It really does. Did you have time? I absolutely did, Vicky. I absolutely did. I'm going to be talking about it on the next show. Vicky sent me something. I beat the drum and I screamed that there is no politician out there doing anything. There's a politician out there doing something, and we're going to talk about it on the next show. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, do not underestimate the power to heal yourself. Do not. You hear constantly people on the lifeboat who say, you know what, I haven't had a drink in 4 days, and I cannot believe how much I am feeling better. Love is my choice of drug. Hey, you know what? It's a good choice. Chad Miller, it's a really, really good choice. Stick with that drug of choice. You're never going to regret that. You're never going to regret that. So, it's somebody said the other day, man, it really kind of hurt me. Somebody put in the chat that sobriety is not easy and it's not pretty. And I'm not going to lie, it pissed me off. Right? Sobriety ain't easy, but it is friggin' beautiful. It really is. There is nothing I've come across yet that is more beautiful than seeing somebody that becomes what they're supposed to be. To see somebody that puts all that crap behind them and starts living their best life. It is absolutely beautiful. You're an artist by trade. Well, there's a shocker. An artist who does heroin? It seems like that is a recurring theme. And there's actually even been some studies about the part of the brain that's active in artists and the reason that they try to put it to sleep using the opiates and all that. There's really a lot of science to back that up. So not really shocked on that one, Gary. If you had told me that, you were a mechanic or something like that, or I'm an engineer, artists, right? I had a t-shirt once that said, do heroin, 10,000 dead rock stars can't be wrong, right? Not funny, I know, but at that time in my life, my sense of humor was a little bit different. So we came on here to make sure that we didn't miss anybody from our Fugel, and we found out that we really need to say some prayers for Murph Dog, right, for the loss of his mom. So if we could do that, that would be great. We found out Gary is an artist, right, who needs a little help getting out of the. My sense of humor is still there. Good. It's really a good thing. Sense of humor is one of the most important people in my life said to me last night that it is the most important medicine, and that I haven't been doling out enough of it. So I've been, we're going to work on that. We're absolutely going to work on that. But yeah, people, this is, you're never going to regret getting sober. Nobody on their deathbed said, I wish when I was 45 and I quit doing dope that I had just kept slamming heroin for the rest of my life. It just would have been great, right? That doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen. Hey, Murph Dog, sorry for your loss. No question. Really, no question. That's so it starts out real simple. It really does. And I can give you the instructions in the beginning. It's simple as hell. It's 1, 2, 3. You just follow the instructions. It gets really complex when you got about 5 or 6 months sober, and then things like God and all kinds of other really important questions start coming into your brain because you haven't had them in your brain in a long time, because they don't really jive really well with opiates. I really appreciate you guys popping on here. I really, really do. And man, I love you guys. Bottom of my heart, man. I love you guys. I really do. And at least one of you, I'll be talking to you here very shortly. So I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, Mark is sleeping, and he earned it, right? He earned it. I will be back on Friday, unless by some chance there's a reason I gotta pop up here tomorrow. I will be back by Friday. And if you've never been to the lifeboat before, this is how it ends, right? I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and this is A Cat in a Basket. Good night, everybody. We love you. Appreciate you popping on with us, guys. God bless.